What is going on, everybody? This is episode 601 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And before we get started, just got some news that Ray Lewis' son, Ray Lewis III, passed away, and that's pretty sad. My condolences to his family. Hopefully, everything is it's not a good time, but prayers to them. That's really rough. That's really rough. Nevertheless, we're going to keep it moving, and we're going to talk about the Atlanta Falcons today. Trickle down effect, leadership. Leadership is a trickle down effect, and why do I say that for the Falcons? A lot of things that Coach Arthur Smith has been preaching is pretty much trickling down. You hear the same talking points or the same style of same language for the most part that the coach is talking about. And everybody seems like they're buying in. They just recently had a few press conferences, and they're still having mandatory training camp and or mandatory OTS. I can't remember which one it's called, but they're going to have that for the rest of the week. And after this, they're going to be gone for 5 weeks. And it's going to be really interesting how things evolve from what they take from it now until when they get back together 5 weeks later. So that's going to be really interesting. If this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Check me out on the podcast avenue. Just be your own program manager and listen to the show at your leisure. I really appreciate it if you do. Also, if you're on Apple, give me a 5-star rating. That helps the podcast tremendously. And also follow me on Twitter at VFBaller. And I also have a website, firstandframerates.com. Let's just go ahead and get into this, man. You have to understand that this has been a 2.5 to 3 year process for the Falcons. And Coach Arthur Smith has been trying his best to build up the players that he's been bringing in. And now this is the first year that he was able to bring some veterans in. And when you hear people like Calais Campbell, when you hear people like, David Adamaya, even when you hear the veteran that's been on the team for a long time, Grady Jarrett, Desmond Ritter, Cordell Patterson, Taquan Graham. I mean, all these guys were talking at this recent press conference, and it just seems like just an extension of the coach. And that's what you want when it comes to any team. You want players that can be extensions of the philosophy that the coach is bringing. And it just shows you that everybody's on the same page. They're out there to have fun. They're out there to play together. And when you have a team that's collectively can play together, you got 53 guys that's on the team that wants the same goal, and they push each other, and they know what's at stake, and they know how to help one another because of the fact that they're basically been training and learning together the philosophy of the football team. It really shows, and it really helps in the long run. I will not be surprised if you see this team look extremely different, look very different from what it did last year. The last 2 years, you can tell that Coach Arthur Smith was putting things together and piecing things together while adding to the team that in his image as far as draft picks. But now you're starting to see, like, okay, what guys that want to be here, what guys that are going to contribute to what his vision is, and do they want to be successful at it? And everybody that came in so far seems like they have that attitude because everybody's talking the same way. Everybody's on the same page. I mean, you hear Calais Campbell is not only just adding, his knowledge to the team, but he's still learning from the new philosophies that, the defensive coordinator and what the head coach wants out of the team. And it's really refreshing to see when guys are coming in and you see that these guys are inspired by different things. This is when I said, when the first time I saw these guys get together for the OTAs, I think I did an episode back then, probably about a week and a half ago, saying that this team just hit different. It's just something about this team just looks and it feels different. This is not the Falcons of old. And these guys are all on the same page saying, hey, look, we're going to go out there and want to compete at the highest level, and we're looking down the road as far as taking it one game at a time and executing and winning football games. And at the end of the day, that's what you really want. I don't understand how with the way this team is set up. I'm gonna be quite honest. The way this team is set up, I don't understand how people could, look at this team in some negative light. The reason why I say that is because everything has been pretty much changed. If you look at everything from 2 years ago to now, you can even go back and look at 3 years ago when we still had Dan Quinn here. This is a totally different team. Outside of 3 players, I think we still got Jake Matthews, Grady Jarrett, and oh goodness, who else we still got here? Then we got like about 3 or 4 players from that regime that are still around, probably more than that. But you could tell the guys who were still around are the ones that are really, embedded in improving this team. They're not with I ain't gonna put it on the players. They just don't fit the philosophy that Coach Arthur Smith has been wanting to put together. What Terry Fontenot has been wanting to put together. And if you go back and look at the other coaches, look at Dan Quinn, Jim Mora. We really don't want to talk about Bobby Petrino. And no disrespect to Mike Smith and Dan Reeves. Even though Dan Reeves this team had a totally different attitude. I will say that. Mike Smith, this team had a little bit of attitude, but it wasn't nowhere near to what Falcons football is about. I mean, if you even go back and look at the early 90s when Dion was here and, the 95 team that made it to the playoffs, they backed into the playoffs. And, the 03 teams, like those teams had some type of attitude to them. We were like, even when the Matt Ryan years was here, we was lacking attitude until like 2016. Even like I said, 2012 was really cool, but we lacked attitude until 2016. And even though we were very successful with all the talent on the field, it really wasn't the attitude that we really needed. I think Dan Quinn was a little bit weird when it comes to bringing leadership to the team. And I think he's a phenomenal defensive coordinator. But as far as, his coaching, head coaching, I don't think he should be in the running for head coach. I mean, that's just me. I think he's an excellent defensive coordinator. But when you start looking at our new coach now, well, I ain't gonna say new, but when you look at our coach now, Coach Arthur Smith, you can tell that he has things, he wants things a certain way, and you can see how it's starting to come to fruition. Because he got guys here who, big, physical, smart, and intelligent, want to play ball, have drive and ambition. Everybody that came in, that is walked through that door via draft or free agency has those traits. Big, fast, physical, smart, intelligent, and ambitious. And that's basically the philosophy that, the coaching staff wants. They preach about it all the time. And in the circle back, when these guys are actually preaching that, and when these guys are in front of the microphone, they basically regurgitate exactly what the coach is saying. This is why I say the leadership is a trickle-down effect. It's really good to see. I just can't wait till I see the first preseason game when you start to see this offense run differently. To see if they're going to let Desmond Ridder, be more expansive with his offensive game. Is he going to be that game manager some people are talking about? Is he going to be a guy that's going to be able to complete passes and do some things down the field to make people say, whoa, what's going on here? Is Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier going to hold the fort down with the top running game in the country? Well, the league. What about the passing game? Are we going to be passing the ball more? You got 3 guys that are 6'4" or higher. You got a couple of decent tight ends. You got Scotty Miller. You got Drake London. You got some guys that you can throw the ball to. What are we going to do with that? Offensive line is back together. They're intact. The defensive line has been revamped. The linebacker corps has been added new players, and the secondary. What can you say about the secondary? I think the secondary is going to be scary good. And this is the type of things that Coach Arthur Smith wants. With DB coach Jerry Gray, I think that's his name. The defensive coordinator who specializes in the front sevens, brought guys in, even brought people in from the team that he was from, New Orleans. I ain't gonna say he bought him here, but you know what I mean. You already know what AJ Terrell could do. What if Jeff Okudah was a 3rd overall pick? What if he lives up to that hype and plays that well? What about Clark Phillips? But all these guys that I've named, they have the mentality that they want to, follow the lead of Coach Arthur Smith. And that's the difference from what we see from the old coaches to the new coaches. Nobody was really following Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn have the little rah-rah 2-liners or 1-liners or whatever the case may be, and people be like, okay. But you got people that were free agents, people that we never thought that would be on this team here. We never thought of Scotty Miller. We never thought of Scotty Miller was going to be here. Scotty Miller was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. He loved playing with Tom Brady. Never thought he was going to be here. Calais Campbell, nobody saw that coming. Mac Hollins, nobody saw that coming. Jeff Okudah, didn't see that coming. He was brought in via trade, but you just didn't see that coming. You didn't see that happening. So now we're going to start seeing some things. They're going to go on break, like I said, 5-week break after this week of training, and they're going to be right back at it. And it's going to be interesting to see how things go from there forward. But, this show is going to continue to go every day. And we're going to continue to do what we do. But it's just an exciting time, man. It really is. I think I said enough, man. If you guys like this podcast, hit the like button. Share this podcast. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You can find me on YouTube and Rumble. Also on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, Google Podcasts. Follow me on Twitter at VFBaller. And also check out the website, firstfairways.com. Go over there and see what you like. It's a little bare bones, but it's pretty cool. You can actually donate and support the show if you like. But honestly, the only thing I really ask, go over there to the podcast avenue, be your own program manager, subscribe to any of those podcast avenues, and also give me a 5-star rating. I want to get up out of here, man. It's about to be Friday. Going to enjoy my Friday, and I'll be back then with another episode. Maybe we have some Georgia Southern football talk to talk about, but we'll see. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy, and y'all be blessed. Peace.